Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Farrell. How are you doing today, Mark?
Very well, thank you, Simon. Very well. Pleased to see
Oh,
you again.
yeah, wonderful. Mark, I know you're into vehicles. Tell me, what's your
I'm into
favorite?
vehicles.
What is your favorite vehicle?
Um, it has to be one that my father helped build. So I was brought up in Birmingham, which was the manufacturing heartland of the UK, especially in automotive.
Nice.
So anything that was built 500 meters from where I was born. So anything with a Austin British Leyland
Ooh,
MG badge, not the new MG, the old MG.
sure,
Um,
sure.
but if money was no object, then it would be a Bentley, probably a
Nice,
yeah, probably
nice.
a Bentley Turbo R from the 1990s.
Ah, lovely, lovely.
Yeah,
You rock up in those, and everyone keeps quiet.
that's right. Yeah,
They're just admiring the car.
I'm 6'6", so I wouldn't fit
Yeah,
into a Ferrari or a
right.
Lamborghini.
Oh,
So
really? Oh, okay.
they've never been that appealing to me because I'm so tall. Then it would take me, especially nowadays, being 50,
Oh,
it would take me 30 minutes to get out, and wouldn't look very attractive.
right. Have you actually sat in one or tried to?
Driven Aston Martins.
Oh, right, right. Aston Martin. Yeah, yeah.
Driven
I
Aston
was just,
Martin.
I was just talking about the Italian cars. I would
Okay.
imagine like they would be quite roomy inside, although quite Spartan. Or no? Um,
I don't think they are roomy. I mean,
yeah,
maybe they're roomy.
yeah,
They're just very low.
yeah, yeah.
Very
Very
low.
low indeed. Yeah, I can
Very low.
imagine like you having trouble
I mean, even
coming.
in everyday cars, I've just got a Mercedes C-Class,
Yeah,
and I have to have the seat back, And
right on.
I've had about 20 or 30 Mercedes
Uh huh.
because I'm so passionate about cars. I've bought and sold them, and I'm always,
Yeah.
on my vice or
Beautiful.
porn, if you like, is
Wonderful.
instead of looking at the shares for an hour a
Yeah,
day,
yeah, yeah.
I look at car sales for an hour a day.
Wonderful.
And I keep a spreadsheet of all the cars and how they're appreciating and depreciating.
Oh,
And then
wow.
I've got if I had 10,000, if I had 20,000, if I had 50,000, if I had 200,000. And
Yeah.
then if I was to invest in classic cars,
Yes.
I keep a track over years as to how much I would have earned or how much the cars would have lost.
Right.
So
Right.
it's just my
Right.
fancy way of investing money, but I don't actually invest. I
Nice.
would invest if I had millions to buy and
Sure.
sell cars,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
I've
Yeah.
done it on a budget, and I used to.
Yeah.
One of
Yeah.
my first businesses was to help mainly girls and ladies, females purchase cars. So they always find
Wow.
it really um, a bit confronting to go into a car dealership and to
Sure.
manage the whole selling and
Yeah, yeah.
purchasing of a new car or second-hand
Wow.
car. So I built a business called Showroom Chaperone,
Nice.
and so I helped girls and boys, men, women. I gave them a list of 3 vehicles based on their budget, their needs, whether they were conscious about the brand, and then I would help them either sell their car secondhand or go to the dealer and negotiate.
Yes.
And then I would offer that as a service.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
My gosh, that's an unfilled market need right there.
it's an unfilled market need. It is. So I did it all by hand
Uh-huh.
in terms of,
Yep.
I did, this was like 15 years ago. So I did leaflet drops, and I did about 30 cars. And then
Wow.
it was just difficult to scale, to
Sure.
try and
Of
scale it.
course. Of course.
Because there was just me, and
Yeah. Yeah.
also pricing. So
Sure. Yep.
what I did was think about packages. So I went to Audi, Mercedes, BMW,
Yeah.
and if I gave them 5 cars or 5 clients in a month, they would give me a back end bonus, and
Yeah.
I did that
Yeah.
3 or 4 times. But no,
Fantastic.
it's interesting. Obviously, I love cars, so
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was a good thing for me to be in.
yeah, yeah. You know, there's this narrative about AI, taking over jobs and all that. That wouldn't be possible, right? I mean, who would want to talk to a robot or a screen?
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think people are now more reliant on sources of information
yeah,
than they were 15
yeah,
years ago. So
yeah. Sure. Yeah,
they have their favourite sources. Although I was
yeah,
listening to a YouTube video, watching a YouTube video yesterday about journalism in the motoring trade,
yeah.
and um, for the first time ever, China or the motoring journalism has been influenced by payoffs by the Chinese
Wow,
car companies around the world.
wow,
So
wow.
they're suing. They're not the first automotive company to sue journalists,
Right.
but they are doing it at scale. So
Oh,
any negative press,
right.
they are taking the journalists to court, and then
Oh dear.
um, upon
Oh,
launch upon launch of their new vehicles,
right.
they are the journalists are having to sign agreements to say that they will not publish anything negative, and so the bias in motoring journalism is now shifting so far to the right because it's not been seen to be a usual, typical thing in motoring journalism. It's supposed to be
Sure.
neutrality and no bias.
Yep.
But
Yep.
these obviously, it's the world that I'm in, which is
Yep.
incentives and dangling the carrot to say
Yep.
something or do something or buy
Yeah.
something or
Yeah.
behave in a
Yeah.
certain
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so why not? BYD, JQ, they are all offering journalists the carrot, money,
Yeah.
flights,
Sure.
hotel to
Sure.
say certain things. So, in a way, it's just evolving. The organisation is evolving. So, but people are
Yeah.
more aware, people, consumers are now more aware of
Yeah.
where that information
Sure.
is coming from,
Sure. Sure.
and whether it's an editorial or an advertisement. And
Uh.
so
Yep.
they probably just research more now.
Yeah.
Now with
Absolutely.
AI,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
rather than just relying on one source, which used to be so
Sure. Sure. Sure.
Top
Sure.
Gear, for
Yeah.
instance.
Yes. Absolutely. But this is really interesting because it's going to be a segue to your background. But we're going to stay on this for a short while more.
Yeah.
Don't you think that it has been like to a certain degree this way for a while? Like motoring journalism is always, it's either you give your unbiased, totally frank opinion,
Yeah.
or you're up against facing an exodus of advertisers.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
it
yeah,
used to be a profession. And when it
yeah,
was a profession, I
yeah.
believe organisations that the journalists work for were
Sure.
affiliated towards certain brands and to
Yeah,
certain countries. So they would
yeah,
always
yeah,
try and
yeah.
represent their own country, etc.
Sure,
But I
sure.
think the
Yeah.
journalists were very unbiased, I believe. But it's
Okay.
only the introduction of influencers and
Yes.
social
Yes.
media
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
where it becomes a really grey line in terms of
Yes. Yeah.
who is a journalist and what is the ethics of of somebody
Sure.
reviewing a car.
Sure. Sure.
If
Sure.
somebody reviewing it's like with any brand now, an
Yeah.
influence.
Yeah. That's right.
Now,
That's
are
right.
they journalists or are they influencing?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very blurred line.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so you either join and make money, or you
Yeah.
stick to your ethics, and
Yeah.
you probably
Yeah.
don't make as much money. And
Sure. Sure. Sure.
it's probably the same around the world, and it's been the same forever. Are you
Yeah.
going
That's
to
right.
stick to
Yeah.
your values,
Yeah.
or do you, especially in corporate world, where you have to mold yourself into certain values, which is the
Yeah.
corporate and the industry
Yeah.
values and
Yeah.
ethics?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so excited about launching my own business. because
Yes,
for the
yes.
first
Thanks for
time
helping me with the segue. I was gonna do it, but it naturally led to this. Please go on.
that's really well. It's one of the things I've been excited about for the last few days. But
Yeah,
I think it was probably when you and I were talking last week when
sure.
these things are just catapulting downhill at at a rate of knots because it's only been a month since I've decided to go out on my own and consult.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but one of the things was that I've been constrained by what I can post on social media from a business point of view
Yes.
for the last 15, 20 years on, let's say, on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
But now I'm
sure.
so happy that I can be myself and that I can push great content out instead of
Yep, yep.
useless, boring, non non exciting content. I've tried to jazz it up, but obviously you've got to stick to your corporate guidelines.
Sure, sure.
So yeah, that's one of the things I'm really excited about launching B2B loyalty. Um,
Yeah,
one of many things, really. Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful. So loyalty. When someone gives me that word, I think straight away of the B2C.
Yes.
The loyalty programs.
Yeah.
Even if you step into a cafe,
Yep.
you buy 10 of this, you get your
Yeah.
11th one free.
Yes.
So I think everyone's pretty comfortable with the B2C concept, but your business and your specialty is
Yes.
B2B. Maybe you can
Yeah.
walk us through like what that entails.
Yeah. Okay. So I was in B2C loyalty for many years,
Sure.
where the C means consumer. It doesn't really
Yes.
mean, for the sakes of representing it against B2B, let's call B2C business to consumer. So it's
Yep.
the end user. So
Yes. Yep.
it's you in the coffee shop consumption. So it's
Yes.
where
Yep.
something's consumed,
Mhm.
consumption.
Yes.
Not really customer. It's
Yeah.
the consumer. And so
Consumer.
I worked on delivering large retail-based B2C business to consumer programs for say Optus.
Yep.
So it'd be their their end customer, their residential customer. So that they
Sure.
would buy more mobile phone plans, more data,
Yeah.
keep them loyal so that they would renew their
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah.
Tabcorp, it would be for the gambler, the wagerer, the guy in the pub who was putting more cash into the tab machine or
Sure.
betting on his app,
Yeah.
or whether it was Rebel Sport, it was the consumer. So I thought I was an expert in that. I was working with CEOs, head of marketing, head of sales to deliver those huge programs. I became an expert in wagering and gaming. So I designed and launched a lot of casino gaming or loyalty
Yeah.
programs. So
Yeah. Yeah.
enticing gamblers to spend more, which wasn't difficult, to remain loyal to that casino
Sure.
and to stay in that seat longer. It's the same as in the OSLs with the pokies. The
Yeah.
pokies, the
Yes.
OSLs are doing.
Yeah.
If you spend $100, you get a free
Yeah.
sandwich and you get
Right.
free drinks
Right.
because
Sure.
you'll sit in that chair
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I'd had enough of that consumer
Yes.
loyalty because
Yeah.
it was all related to airline loyalty. So I believe in
Right.
airline loyalty, and I think it's
Yeah.
fantastic because of status, and it really grasps you and really does change behaviour.
Sure.
Um, and coalition loyalty, which is in the B2C world primarily. So coalition loyalty is when a Flybuys Everyday Rewards Qantas, they try and capture all of your share of wallet. So
Yep.
they try and capture your spending, grocery, insurance, healthcare,
Yeah. Yeah.
fuel.
Right.
We all know that.
Right. Right.
So I'd spent a lot of time in that area. Then
Yep.
I found out about B2B loyalty. Now, loyalty is a strange old word because some people hate it and some people affiliate with it. I wouldn't say love it, but it's been around for a
Sure.
while now, and people
Yeah.
have their own perceptions of it. So
Sorry. Sorry to interrupt. Why do people dislike the word loyalty? What negative connotation does it bring?
the value of programs. So there was overload about 10 years ago. There was an
Uh huh.
overload of cards in wallets. So people
Got it.
became so
Yep.
proficient in signing up consumers to loyalty cards and programs in every
Yeah.
retailer. And through technology, there was only one way of doing it, which was through card-based loyalty programs.
Sure. Sure.
So people had an abundance of cards in their wallet. And
Yes.
then came a time about 10 years ago when I left B2C loyalty, which is when people started removing their wallets. They wouldn't even take their wallets out with them. So loyalty went away with the wallet basically. And
Got it.
also,
Wow.
so that's where the negativity came from around. And there's a number of reasons. The value you get in consumer loyalty is pretty much non-existent.
Yeah.
You have to do a lot, and
Yes.
you have to do a
Yeah.
lot to get something. So
Sure.
that's the negativity comes
Yep.
away with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the biggest one. It's a benefits play.
Yes.
People the guys that are running these loyalty programs want to call it an engagement program rather than a loyalty program because they want to engage you, because they want to reciprocate your
Yeah.
loyalty. So
Yeah.
stay with us and we
Yeah.
will understand you. You give us your data, tell us all about you,
Yeah.
and then we can give you the right
Right.
message at the right
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, um, so to me, benefits doesn't really engage in change behaviour. It does in the airline world, but I think
Sure.
there's this
Yeah.
real deterioration in B2C loyalty.
Yeah.
Obviously, when people spend on their credit cards and they get loyalty points and they put it into Qantas, it's great.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that remains for me in consumer loyalty
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
people are spending on their cards, and that does change
Yeah.
behaviour. You
Yeah.
keep your
Yeah.
Amex, you're keeping your Amex points. It might
Sure.
go straight into Qantas, but at least you
Yes.
earn
Yeah.
2 points per dollar
Yeah.
rather than 1 point per dollar
Yeah.
because you've got your gold Amex or whatever it might be. So it definitely works there.
Okay.
But B2B is
Yes.
so much more valuable
Yeah.
because B2B loyalty. So we've talked about consumer, which is a sales channel. So retailers, like your coffee shop, is selling direct to consumer.
Yes.
But 65% of the GDP of Australia is is through B2B,
Wow.
not B2C.
Wow.
So 65% is manufacturing or mining or civil or
Yep.
trade,
Yes.
where a producer is not selling to the end user. There is the channel. So they have to sell through the channel. Not many manufacturers, apart from, say, Tesla,
Yes.
have a direct relationship with the consumer.
Right.
Let's take every other car brand. So Toyota.
Yeah.
Toyota has 300 dealerships in
Yes.
Australia, but they only
Yeah.
own 7 of them.
Right.
So the Toyota dealerships are
Yeah.
nothing to do with Toyota. Somebody else's profit and loss, somebody else's well-being and lifestyle
Yeah.
and income and revenue. Somebody
Yeah.
else's. So the people that are
Yes.
selling Toyotas
Yeah.
around Australia
Yeah. Yeah.
are not employees of Toyota. So
Right.
as I say, so there's this B2B sales channel where Toyota, Hyundai, whoever it is,
Yeah.
has to influence the dealerships, especially
Got it.
multi-franchise dealerships,
Right.
where salespeople can sell Peugeot, Citroen, Honda, blah blah blah, because you go to a big car compound,
Okay.
and they're employed by Peter Warren. They're not employed by Toyota or Hyundai.
Got
So
it. Yep.
what B2B loyalty is making sure that salesperson is identifying who we need to change the behavior of. So
Right.
Toyota would be the client to me,
Uh-huh.
and I will build a program that
Yeah.
incentivizes, influences, and maybe through training. So giving them more
Yes.
information on
Got it.
training so that
Yep.
they are more
Yep.
comfortable with
Yes.
selling the features and benefits of a Toyota than selling the features and benefits of a Hyundai. So if we can
Right.
reward them
Yep.
for training and then
Yeah.
reward them for selling warranties, for selling them the after sales package, as well
Yep.
as the bare metal in the car,
Yep.
then all the programs exist for that salesperson who's earning a base salary plus commission.
Yes.
But then
Yes.
you can
Yes.
give them 10% outside of that structure,
Yep.
or up to 10% to increase their salary, to
Sure.
engage them,
Yeah.
to take
Yeah.
them away on a
Yeah.
trip, to give them a $500 Visa card. That's nothing. And what we call it is the law of severability. So a lot of people say, let's talk about painters. So painters have an
Sure.
income, and then
Yes.
they stop every morning and pick up their 20 litres of paint that they're going to
Yes.
use that
Yep.
day. If
Yep.
they go to the same store every morning and they're getting 2 or 3 or 4% back on everything, and
Yeah.
they're getting it back as points, or they're getting it back onto a Visa
Got it.
card,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
something that doesn't go through the business.
Sure.
So
Sure.
it's not taxable. So
Yes.
B2B loyalty came about when manufacturing 100 years ago,
Yeah.
their sales teams 100 years ago, and even 50 years and even 20 years ago,
Yes.
was were drawing up contracts based on volume. So you buy this off us, we can then plan what to make.
Yep.
And if you buy that off that in the year,
Yeah.
then we'll give you 3 or 4 or 5 or 10% back
Sure.
from
Sure.
your $300,000 that you've spent
Yep.
with it.
Yep. Yep.
So what I do is use that 3, 4, 5, 10% rebate, which has
Yes.
always been called a rebate.
Yep.
That's wasted. It just goes back into the business as a line of income.
Yes.
Everybody
Yes.
expects it,
Yes.
and it's taxable. So
Yes.
if you take that off and you reward the employees
Yeah.
and the sales channel, the people that are actually making the decisions, say,
Sure.
say
Sure.
the guy, the painter who's driving to that store
Yeah.
might not own the painting business,
Yes.
but he's going and he's getting that $500 every 3 months for himself.
Right.
Because and previously, if it was a rebate, it would be the owner who's the millionaire owner of the
Yes.
company would
Yeah.
be getting the
Yeah.
rebate. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
spreads the wealth. It changes the behaviour of so many more people.
Wonderful.
And because
Yeah.
of the values in B2B, that we're talking millions of dollars instead of
Yeah.
tens of dollars in the consumer world,
Sure.
then we can change a lot of behavior, because you're changing your behavior in a business in your 9 to 5
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
But what you're actually getting is going to
Yes.
improve your life, your personal life.
Right.
So that's why I'm so passionate, is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
because you turn left in the morning to go to this air conditioning manufacturer instead of right to go to this air manufacturer, you know.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
you're using Daikin instead
Yes.
of
Yeah.
Actron Air.
Got it.
If
Yeah.
Daikin have got an engaging B2B loyalty program,
Yes. Yes.
then you're going to go turn left every morning. So I've seen the results of these programs
Sure.
that change the behaviour of thousands of
Wonderful.
tradespeople, thousands of people that
Wonderful.
own trade stores.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just finite, you know. There's so many industries and so many importers that are looking to do growth.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking for growth. Everybody, how can we do growth? How can we do growth? So
Yeah.
that's what I do. The B2B loyalty is
Yeah. Yeah.
I help people navigate. It's pretty simple. There's probably about 20
Yeah.
key philosophies around B2B loyalty. But what the problem is overlaying them on top of
Yeah.
complex sales and marketing ecosystems and technology.
Yes. Yeah.
So what I do is help, as I've always done, is help navigate those tech stacks, how we can use the data that your ERP or your CRM is using, or building
Yeah.
up your database so that you
Yeah.
can build relationships in a better way,
Mhm.
bring up that engagement,
Yeah.
drive loyalty, and
Yeah.
therefore you're protecting your income. And most importantly,
Yeah.
solving a pain point. So it's not all about growth. It might be protecting your market share, might be protecting your margin.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's take Caesarstone, for example.
Sure.
So for the
Which is
last five,
no. Yeah.
yeah, so it's a perfect example.
Yes.
So obviously they've had to pivot, more than pivot. They've had to change the materials that they use.
Yeah.
So they had a
Yeah.
year where they couldn't sell anything. They've now got in
Oh dear.
2025.
Wow.
In 2025, they've launched a new range of materials, but their reputation and damage has been done. So it's going
Sure.
to be really
Sure.
difficult for them to
Yeah.
get the loyalty back from the
Yeah. Yeah.
consumer. So I talked to the chief marketing officer of
Yeah.
Caesarstone
Sure.
3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and they're trying to reinvent the brand and
Yeah.
tell the audience, the B2C audience,
Sure.
We've got new material. It's not dangerous. Come back to Caesarstone. Next year, once they've tried to do that, then it's influencing the trade. So
Got
it's
it.
push and pull, and it depends on
Yeah.
different industries.
Yeah.
In that industry, people might
Yeah.
say, "I want
Yeah.
Caesarstone because of
Yeah.
because of the brand. I want
Sure.
Caesarstone in my.
Sure. Sure.
I want Melee appliances." In that way, the builder
Yeah.
goes and gets Caesarstone on Melee.
Yeah.
But in other industries, the builder would get incentivized to put, Laminex in instead of
Yeah.
Caesarstones. I've run
Yeah.
Laminex programs, but
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
case of Caesarstone, 2025 budget is for changing consumer behaviour towards Caesarstone, so building up the brand, telling them
Yes.
that the new material is safe. And then next year, it's all about getting the trade to
Yeah.
suggest, because we're incentivizing them, to
Yeah.
getting the trade to say, "Hey, have you thought about Caesarstone?" "Oh no, I'm not using Caesarstone because," but it's the tradesperson that will be the
Sure.
educator, and the
Yeah.
salesperson will say, "No, no, Caesarstone have got a great range of products in it that
Yep.
change the material, and
Yeah.
I suggest we put that in because of safety and blah blah." So that's the
Yes.
program
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we're doing for next year for Caesarstone. So
Yeah.
that's we're going to get the tradesperson to be our salesperson.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
That's
that's an
that's
example of B2B loyalty.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned about these quarry products.
Yeah.
Mark, for our international audience, maybe you can just share what was the challenge with these suppliers.
Um, in the building process of the kitchen bench tops, for instance, marble. I'm not sure of the material, but
Sure.
there was fine elements, chalk, dust, which was
Yeah.
deemed unsafe
Yeah.
for the trade and the general environment.
Mm.
Um, so large manufacturers of stone bench tops, marble bench tops,
Sure.
etc. I'm not sure which.
Yeah. Yeah.
They all had to pivot, but Caesar Stone,
Right.
which is
Yeah.
a famous Australian brand,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, which was the most prominent,
Yes.
was
Yeah.
really the victim of its own success because
Sure.
they
Sure.
were the ones that were in the media
Yeah.
and everybody.
Synonymous, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
synonymous
Yeah.
with
Yeah. Yeah.
like Hoover and vacuums.
Sure. Sure.
So,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, do
Yeah.
you want a Caesar stone bench top was just
Yes.
really a
Yes.
colloquial
Yeah.
term for a bench top.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Same as Hoover and vacuum, I suppose.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
really suffered,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
sorry for their chief marketing officer having to try and build up a brand identity again
Sure. Sure.
um,
Sure.
over the
Um,
next few months.
yeah. Yeah. So this speaks to a broader uh, challenge that many companies are now facing with regards to external challenges.
Mhm.
Regulators. Even like geopolitical
Yep.
upheavals.
Yes.
So one of the things I assume that companies would do in times of economic stress would be to maybe have a second look at their marketing expenditure and do some cuts there.
Hmm.
What would you say to these companies who are thinking about this right now as we're talking? Would
I
that be
would say
wise or not? Yeah.
I'd say it's wise because there's never been a
Yeah.
strong. There's always been a strong reason to identify marketing as the one of the first departments or resources um, to
Sure.
be moved on, to be reduced.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
with the advent of AI, it's just a natural process where marketing is becoming smaller and smaller internally, and the use of
Sure.
external software or resources is being used instead of
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
that hard
Yeah.
OPEX cost.
Yeah.
Um, so in terms of marketing, then yeah, there's there's never been there's not a department that's more impacted by technology than marketing. So if you're doing a marketing degree or see
Sure.
that you want to be a marketer
Yeah.
at university at the
Yeah.
moment, then good luck to you. But I would advise against it, um, because
Right.
there needs to be
Okay.
somebody to drive the machines, but
Yes.
um,
Yes.
the number of people that are going to come through the marketing um, channel, if you like,
Right.
is reducing. Is the needs are reducing?
Okay.
I'd say.
Okay. 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 Um, it's I.
I,
I'm just wondering about.
I was
Sorry.
going to say sales. Sales is never going. I don't believe sales is ever going to change. There's always
Yeah.
going to need to be the
Yeah.
human interaction, but marketing have always
Got it.
been behind technology. They've always used technology for the last
Sure.
30 years
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
drive their activities.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
as technology
Yeah.
advances, marketing will become less and less important. But sales, it's all about relationships, especially in B2B. So,
Sure.
sales is not
Sure.
impacted as much,
Yeah.
and things like human resources. So, my wife is
Yeah.
chief people officer, and there's never going to be a machine that can interview somebody. I mean, she's been interviewing people for 20, 30 years, and she still gets it so wrong. There's still always those people
Sure.
that
Sure.
after 2 or 3 months, like, what have
Yeah.
we done? They were just completely different in the interview, and now they're an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
And we're in
Yeah.
2025, and in 2025
Yes. Yeah.
we're having the same problems as in 1725. It's bringing on people in the workforce who can who
Yes.
can be somebody else in an interview, and then
Hmm.
be somebody else in the workplace. So how do you use technology
Right.
to? That's where I see a real. I'm really excited about the future, because how can AI and machine learning help my wife
Yeah.
recruit somebody with almost guarantee that they're going to be productive, culturally viable,
Yeah.
all of those things. They can't. At the moment, it's the same
Sure.
face to face. Are
Yeah.
you lying to me? Can I trust you? Can I understand you
Yeah.
in 2 or 3 hours? Are you going to fit in my business and my team? Same as it was 300 years ago. And there's a few tools around, but not
Yeah.
many. And mistakes are still being made so often.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. 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 AI makes a ton of mistakes.
Well, I
Um,
mean, yeah,
gosh.
and I'd like to get your
Yeah.
point. I'd like to get your thoughts
Yeah.
on how you could see AI helping the recruitment process. I mean, you're
Well, as technology becomes more useful and enhances
mhm,
productivity, I actually see, ironically, more people being employed as a result,
okay.
because now the usage of the technology is increasing,
Yep.
and you need more people to. I mean, the volume, the demand for whatever the outputs are is increasing to the point that one person cannot handle it, and so you have to get more staff
Yep.
in. So for example, um, you know, I mean, back in the day, when you design a poster, you needed, like, the letterpress and all these
Mm-hmm.
people. Um,
The
and then
franking
came the
machine.
Mac, so you could, yeah, so you could, and now you could prompt an entire poster into
Yeah.
existence. That's great, but if you stand back and look at say a marketing function, while a person is able to do more, um, there needs to be more, you know, intelligence as to, where the demand
Yep.
is. I mean, like, we circle back to your uh, car,
Analogy.
the concierge service.
Oh yes, showroom
Your
chef line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, the human touch. Where
Yeah.
I suppose the lines between sales and marketing, continue to blur as
Mm-hmm.
the human touch is still needed. I mean, like I said, I who would go up to a robot or a screen, to get the
Yeah,
confidence to buy a car.
exactly.
And even the B2B dealers, they're
Mm,
car dealers. They yeah,
yeah,
I mean, imagine if you walked into a car showroom and
yeah.
nothing greeted you except touch screens. I
Nothing
mean,
beats
that
it.
would be so strange.
It's
And
very strange.
yeah, absolutely. If the next door there are humans there, friendly
Yeah,
humans, I mean, Faye, we're in Mark.
yeah,
The owner.
yeah,
I mean, he's
mhm,
really friendly. Greets
yeah,
you at the door, and
yeah.
so you can see a corresponding, with
That's right.
the profits and the revenue.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
technology is there. Don't get me
yeah,
wrong, but I think humans, whereas the eventual people who pay for these things still want
yeah.
the
Still
touch.
need
Yeah,
the
yeah,
human touch.
yeah, absolutely.
Uh, but people that are buying Teslas and BYDs and electric cars, I would argue that there'd be a fair share of those people that wouldn't mind. It would be cute. It would be I'm at the edge of technology. If I'm going out on
Sure.
Saturday and
Yeah,
purchasing
yeah,
a car
yeah.
without any human interaction, and then
Sure.
it drives, it comes down from the lift and it presents itself,
Got it.
and there's no
Got it.
human interaction,
Got
and
it.
the car, the
Got it.
keys are sitting there on the tire.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'd
Yeah.
say that there's probably
Yeah.
people that
Yeah.
would get excited about
Sure. Sure. Um, I don't know. I wouldn't be one of them.
that.
Because I was in a car showroom just the other day, and
Yeah,
I was actually looking for a human being. I mean, it was a really
really.
flashy showroom. There were
Yeah,
ads playing everywhere.
yeah.
Um,
You're
I
in the
just
Ferrari showroom, were you?
Oh, no, this is just an SUV showroom. And but it could have been a Ferrari showroom, and
Yeah,
you know the bottom line is that I was actually looking, and I noticed myself doing this for humans. I was waiting for the salesperson to finish talking with the customer, and then I would have a chat and ask
and
about
then
specs, and
yeah, yeah.
voice
Uh-huh.
my concerns about blah blah blah, and hope that it would get answered. So
Yes.
um, in
Well,
I
first,
mean,
it's recognition. Did
yeah,
that salesperson look at you and
yeah,
say, "Hey, one
yeah,
minute," and so that you
yeah,
knew that you'd been recognised?
yeah, 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 yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah,
I've worked with a lot of car
yeah,
manufacturers, and that's
yeah,
the sort of behaviours that you
yeah,
need.
yeah,
If somebody
yeah,
walks in, somebody needs to
yeah,
be recognised,
absolutely,
even though you can't have them walking around for 3 minutes without them
yeah, correct,
somebody
yeah,
understanding that they're in the building.
yeah,
They
yeah,
get such a warm feeling from that
yes,
yes,
yes, yeah,
they've
yeah,
recognised that I'm here. They're
yeah,
not going to
yeah,
rush on me and pounce on me.
hmm
So in
yeah,
our programs, because I used to work for Jaguar Land Rover, and I've
sure,
actually
sure,
sold cars in
yeah,
dealerships.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
the programs that I run now for company most automotive companies,
yeah,
uh, they're running KPI programs that are all about that, so that they get marked on those
yeah,
behaviours.
yeah,
So every
yeah,
type of behaviour for a salesperson, whether
sure,
leads are logged, whether somebody's approached within the first minute, the cameras are
yes,
doing it.
wow,
The cameras are making sure that
wow,
somebody's
wow,
being. I mean, 20 years ago, I was working for Jaguar Land Rover, and I was doing a project for Land Rover, and it was such a successful program. I'm not blowing my own
wonderful,
trumpet, but it's
yep,
called post-purchase dissatisfaction because there was a long waiting line, especially for premium cars. You
yes,
pay a deposit of £40,000 or dollars, and then you wait 4 months, 5 months. So what we did as a marketing team,
yes,
we put cameras in the factory, which
yeah,
it took ages, but and a lot of political goodwill. But we
sure,
put marketing cameras in the factory,
yep,
so that we could take photos of the car that was going to be the persons who signed for the deposit.
yes,
So the marketing campaign was: there's the body, there it is in the paint
wow,
shop, and there it is getting prepared. So
Awesome.
this post-purchase dissatisfaction, someone, what have I got for my 30, 40,000 pounds? Nothing. I've got nothing, and it's been 3 or 4, 5 months. So we plugged that gap, and it was the first manufacturer to do so. And we plugged that gap by, and it turned people so loyal. Everybody loved it, and it became an award-winning
It's beautiful.
campaign.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
so that they could see their car that they'd paid their hard money going down the process, so that they could see that it was being worked on, and it wasn't just the money
Wow.
just wasn't sitting there in
Sure,
the cabinet.
sure. Wow.
Yeah. So that was 20 years ago. So
That's
again,
amazing.
loyalty's always been there, and that was pure B2C loyalty. We're a manufacturer. How can we influence the end customer? They're buying it from a dealership, which we don't own,
Sure,
but
sure.
we can
Yeah.
give those photos to the dealership to send to the
Yeah.
customer, and
Yeah.
everybody's happy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Mark, we've gone
We've got over.
a bit over time, but this is really interesting. Um,
Hmm.
I'd like to give you a chance to share um, two things that you're really proud of in your career. Two
So one of them was
wins.
one of them. We've just done one of them,
Yes,
which was
yes, yes.
which
The
was that.
Jaguar. Yeah, yeah,
The Jaguar Land Rover. It was Jaguar. So
yeah.
in that period of 2 years, when I was the marketing manager for Jaguar Land Rover,
Uh huh. Uh
focusing
huh.
primarily on Land Rover, there was that one. So that was a huge campaign.
Wonderful. That's one.
So it
Yeah.
was, you have your welcome, loyalty,
Yes.
retention, churn campaigns, but we added that other one in, which was post-purchase
Yeah.
dissatisfaction
Yeah.
campaign,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was fantastic, and it was replicated around the world by other
Yeah.
manufacturers. So I'm really
Wonderful.
pleased about that one. That was one of mine.
Yes.
And
Beautiful.
then I know it's simple, but the other one at Land Rover was we were launching Range Rover Sport.
Yes.
So Range Rover Sport, what do we do? What was it?
Yep.
So I came up with the name. So this name became synonymous with Range Rover Sport, and
Right.
for the first 5 years of its life, the
Mhm.
word that I came up with was used in many markets, and so I was responsible for using racetracks because it was Range Rover Sport. So we were launching the car on racetracks for people to drive
Wow.
around the racetrack.
Wow.
And we called the events exhilaration by appointment.
Wow.
Um,
That's
and
cool.
so for a period of like 6 months, there was 5,000 people went through these racetracks to drive the new Range Rover
Wow.
Sport along the racetrack.
Wow.
So I was responsible for managing that, but obviously with many, many others and lots of agencies. But I came up with the name Exhilaration by Appointment. So, and
Beautiful.
that came really, really well because it
Yeah.
was a good fit
Yeah.
for Range Rover at the time because
Yeah.
it's not a Land Rover, which is all sluggish, off
Sure.
road.
Sure.
And then the Range Rover was premium luxury, but
Yep.
Exhilaration was more
Yep.
that sporty.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that was that. And then I suppose moving on to, I mean, there's lots, but I think Tabcorp, when I first
Yes.
moved into B2C loyalty,
Yep.
enterprise clients full of
Yep.
regulations because of doing
Yes. Yes.
wagering
Yes.
and gambling.
Very straight jacketed.
Yeah, when
Yep.
I was poached to look after the Tabcorp account,
Mhm.
which at the time was only delivering $1 million, but it had lots of potential, and it certainly did because over the next 4 years, when I was
Yeah.
working for AMIA, which is a global loyalty organisation,
Yeah.
platform strategy rewards.
Yeah.
I grew it from me and my team. I had a team of about 12 at the end. So there was just me at the start. And then after 4 years, there was 12 people working on the Tabcorp account.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I grew it from $1 million to $40 million per year.
Wow.
And I grew it from one client to a gaming and wagering division. So because of understanding loyalty and wagering and the massive amounts of data you get,
Mhm.
much more than a shopping basket in Coles. You get so much more transaction
Sure.
data to
Sure.
analyze in
Sure.
a bet.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and then we translated that to casino loyalty and integrated into gaming systems and casino systems. And
Yeah.
so I built this whole global division of wagering and gaming. And so
Beautiful.
I became the subject matter expert on wagering and gaming loyalty, I suppose,
Yeah.
in Australia, but
Yeah.
potentially around the
Yeah.
world. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very proud of those things. And then over the last 6 years, I suppose as a person, I've been most proud of how I've pivoted from marketing to account management to not really cold sales to presenting and pitching and prospecting and lead generation. It was
Sure.
all organic growth, building
Yeah.
relationships,
Yeah.
gaining and
Yeah.
developing solutions for existing clients. I suppose what I'm proud of is the way that I've been able to pivot away from that into hunting, targeting hunting, and doing the full suite. So prospecting, targeting, educating the C-suite, and then becoming a trusted advisor, rather than just
Yeah.
coming in the middle as a subject matter expert and holding their hand. Over the last 6 years, I've now become this, pretty good hunter. So as a
Yeah.
person, I think that's probably one of my proudest assets. That I'm a hunter, but I'm also a farmer, and so I can do a bit of both. I can do a bit of both.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Farrell, who is able to work with brands with very high value brands, right down to the daily things that we purchase. And
Mhm.
Mark, how would the world get in touch with you? How would they engage with your services?
So a coffee would be fantastic. And to understand your current sales or customer related
Yeah.
pain points. So, any sales or customer related pain points, whether you're
Yeah.
selling into consumers direct or through the sales channel,
Yes.
get in touch with me. I'm happy to give hours and hours and days of guidance. I'm very client centric. I'm not going to put a dollar figure on anything. So, if there's a project that can be that we can talk about that's going to give you long term sustainable growth, then I'm
Wonderful.
interested in giving you that opportunity. But if it takes a few weeks to get there and
Yeah.
discuss and think about
Yeah.
what that project might look like, then there's no fees. So I'm happy to guide you and give you all my knowledge to a point where you're happy to say, okay, I know a lot more than I did.
Yeah.
Let's go forward with that
Yeah.
project, and
Yeah.
then we can
Yeah.
think about the pricing there.
That's beautiful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think our time is up, but I suspect this might not be the last time I have Mark on the
No.
show. And I think Mark can also be you can also be contacted on LinkedIn. Is that right?
Yes, yep,
Yeah.
I'm on LinkedIn, and there you see my email address there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's all ready. And so just contact me on mark at
Fantastic.
b2bloyalty.com.au,
Yes. Wonderful.
and we'll go from there.
Wonderful.
And I'd love to talk about your pain points,
Yeah.
business pain points only, please.
Wonderful. Great.
All right, thanks,
Over a
Simon.
coffee. Yeah. Thanks, Mark. And thank you for